Hello folks, today we have a new fly for you. It's called Ron's Revenge. Here's a fly a neighbor of mine down the street, Ron Smith, showed me a fly similar to this. I took it home and revised it somewhat. Told me it worked well on one of the local lakes he fished for many years, and I've tied it with a few variations, but it's been very effective all the way through the water column, different lines and retrieves. It's been a very nice searching pattern, quite effective. So I'm going to show you how to tie the fly. We're going to start with we're going to need some copper wire and just a small copper wire. You can also use, we're using a quill wing on here, a duck quill wing actually, or what I've been fishing the last couple of years is just mallard wing, and that's been alright. That works just plumb fine. We're also going to use some white Lady Amherst for the tail. Ron's original pattern just had a little white something on the back. I can't even remember right now, but I like that Amherst. And you can use a duck quill, or here's actually a quill from a goose, but we do have the nice taper on that. The fly that he had, I believe, had a little different dubbing again, and I'm going to go back to my favorite. Here's some of my poly that I blended up. It's just basically kind of that rug yarn, and I just chop it real fine, and then I blend it, and I put a little red, and I don't know, there's some copper color in there, and I can get a few more colorations in my dubbing. And then also for the throat, we're going to use some black saddle hackle. So we'll just get out, and I look like here to head on that as usual. And there's another pail full of those. I'll be going for the fly shop. Don will get them in a little bit, get them online if anybody cares to buy any of them. They're sure a nice fly. We've had a lot of success. I've tied a bunch, given to some of my friends, and they've tied or fished with them, and they've told me they've done very well with that bug as well. So something I'm sure you'll want to have in your fly arsenal. These wet flies have kind of lost favor to many other techniques and flies that we've seen over the years, and I don't know, I've always liked wet searching patterns. I really have. Now we can take some of our Lady Amherst tail. Here we want to get it nice and even. We're going to get it about gap length as again. You can vary this a little bit. It's a nice tailing material. Actually, quite a bit on there. It sometimes gets a little fragile too, and will break off. So if you put a little extra on there, don't hurt. Now I'm going to tie my copper wire for the rib. I tie that along the whole shank. Go right to the tie-in point, right above the barb. Okay. Throw a half hitch in there so I can start my dubbing. There we go. We just kind of pinch that in there. So as you that are on the standard vices, just you can dub it by hand, or you can do a dubbing loop if you like, but you can see the nice texture of that dubbing there. It's I like it much better than floss. Floss is shiny. It's nice. It has its purpose. Don't get me wrong, but then we're just gonna. I need a little bit more there. Okay, I can get a little bit of a taper there. There we go. I got a little shape that I like. Got a more of a cigar shaped head. Just get a nice copper rib. Copper is really the key on a lot of patterns. We know we put copper ribs on chironomids and many other flies. I don't know, there's that hue, something the fish can see, that hue of that copper. And that being said, I forgot to tell you in my intro and my materials, one of the secrets I think of this fly where I've made it a little better is I've used, like some of these new synthetics, haven't been wearing around years back, angel hair, rusty olive. If you can get your hands on some of this stuff, buy it. And that is just going to be my little underwing. And I'm going to tie that on top of the shank here, fold it back, and then trim it back to about the tail. A little bit of a taper. That, to me, is the secret of this fly right here. Now we can go to the quill, as I mentioned before, the duck quill, or we can go to the mallard flank, which also builds a nice fly. But let's use a quill here. A lot of times too, what I'll do is I'll spray it with fix-a-tiff so it doesn't split. Get a nice big split of, or slip of this. This is actually goose quill. And I'm going to put that on. I'm going to do my collar first, my throat. I'm going to do a wrapped collar again, throat. I'm tying a little bit back of the head. And we're going to give it about 3 or 4 turns here. Depends on what your barb count is on your hackle you're using. Some of it is more barb count than others. I'm just going to pull it back. There we go. Get a little bit of a nice leg there underneath it. It doesn't matter if it comes around the top a little bit, that's fine. See a little few stragglers on here. Nip them off. Okay, then a quill wing. So what we want to do to set it, we can go a wing right to the end of the tail. You can set it a little shorter if you want. What's really important here, folks, is you pinch it between your index finger and your thumb. And then we're going to run my thread up between my fingers and lay it in there, just kind of pinch it in between my thumb and my finger, come underneath the shank, and the thread is not tight yet, and then I'm going to pull up. When you pull up, it sets your wing on top of the hook shank. It sets it, it won't move. That's how you set a quill wing. Okay, now it folds it up so nice, and then you can just start behind the eye. Like I say, use that thumb there, just a thumbnail, just to guide it, so it's not going to go back any further than where your thumbnail is. It's a good little guide. You can use your fingernails, are pretty good tools. We'll just give it a whip finish. Cut that off. I'm going to grab some of this Solarez finish the fly head. Makes it look pretty too. And then you can also, use some guys use Sally Hansen's, or you can use, any lacquer or even head cement, whatever you like. And you'll see when I hit that with that UV, how that red and that dubbing that I put in there, couldn't see it. The blind eye couldn't really see it, but that UV, that red's in there. So it looks a little like kind of like a blood leech almost kind of pattern. But those, be surprised, and that's why these colorations look different to the fish. They see differently than we do, and copper is really, really good to have incorporated in a lot of your flies. So there's one that you're going to really like. It's called Ron's Revenge. Thanks to Ron Smith.
To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca. And if you would like to book an adventure like this one showing, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.